He said, as he started walking to the restroom, he turned around and came back and went behind the nurse's station where another female nurse was working. She told the defendant he cannot be back here. You need to get from behind the counter. He began to argue with her. Nurse Power came over and intervened and said, sir, the restroom, once again, he pointed to where the restroom was.
Mm-hmm.
He said, all of a sudden, the defendant stated, I'm not gay, and with a closed fist, hit him in the face.
Today we bring you a perplexing case that unfolds in the chambers of Judge Alex Manning. In this episode, we delve into a courtroom drama that revolves around a defendant charged with a serious offense, leaving us all with one burning question. Why did the defendant's actions spiral into chaos in the seemingly tranquil setting of a hospital? The defendant, who was once a patient at the hospital, finds himself accused of engaging in a physical altercation with a male nurse, a staff member, who had offered nothing more than simple instructions to the bathroom. The catalyst for this alleged outburst remains a mystery, as the courtroom gathers to unravel the perplexing narrative. What could have prompted the defendant to react in such a drastic manner? What forces were at play, and what was the underlying motivation behind this unexpected incident?
147 days on indictment, got aggravated battery and felony obstruction. Investigator, if you can raise your right hand, do you swear a firm testimony you're about to give is the truth, whole truth, nothing but the truth?
I do.
All right, go ahead, Ms. Fields.
Investigator, or is it Sergeant? I'm sorry.
Sergeant.
Okay, Sergeant Jones, is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
And you're post certified?
Yes, ma'am.
And did you where do you work? Tell us that. Where do you work?
Atlanta Police Department.
And how long have you been in law enforcement?
22 years.
And how long have you been a sergeant?
Since 2019.
Okay, so about 4 years.
Yes, ma'am.
And so so you said you're post certified, that you said that?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and were you working an extra job at this incident?
Yes, ma'am.
And where were you working?
Grady Hospital.
And can you tell us the location of Grady Hospital?
It is Jester Hill Junior Drive, Southeast.
Is that in
Atlanta?
That's in Fulton County?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Can you tell us the date of this incident and what happened?
March the 17th, 2023, about 1:30 in the morning. So as stated, I worked my extra job down at Greater Hospital. Been working there for about 7 years.
Mm-hmm.
But on the night in question, I was called back to what we call the Zone 2 area, or where they do emergency treatment.
Mm-hmm.
And when I got back there, the nurse was laying on the floor, and they immediately took the nurse to the trauma center for treatment.
So when you got there, the incident had already taken place?
It had just taken place, yes, ma'am.
And so I believe you said that you saw, so what did you see when you saw him falling, or what happened?
Right, as I was coming, he was falling to the floor.
And did you see the defendant there?
Yes.
In his immediate vicinity?
Yes, ma'am.
And what is the nurse's name that was assaulted?
His name was Nurse Power, but his full name is Peter Power.
Okay, and so he's a male nurse?
Male nurse, yes, ma'am.
And so let me see. Did you say it was March the 17th, or did you say
May the 17th?
Okay, May the 17th, and
Yes.
it was of this year?
Yes.
And so you witnessed him, the nurse, Mr. Powell, Mr. Nurse Powell,
Right.
falling to the ground.
Right.
Did you investigate?
Yes, ma'am.
Go ahead.
Let me just tell you what happened. Later on, I investigated, and I got the statement from nurses back there, and then later on from Mr. Powell. But he said the defendant was in that area for treatment.
The Nurse Powell said this?
Right. He said the defendant, Mr. Terrell, was in that area. Edward was in that area for treatment, and he was walking through Zone 2, like wandering around. Nurse Power asked him, did he need any help? And he said, can you show me where the restroom is located? He pointed to the direction and showed him where the restroom was. He said, as he started walking to the restroom, he turned around and came back and went behind the nurse's station where another female nurse was working. She told the defendant he cannot be back here. You need to get from behind the counter. He began to argue with her. Nurse Powell came over and intervened and said, sir, the restroom, once again, he pointed to where the restroom was.
Mhm.
He said, all of a sudden, the defendant stated, I'm not gay, and with a closed fist, hit him in the face.
He said, I'm not gay.
Right, he said, I'm not gay. Then he hit the nurse in the face, Mr. Powell,
He said they used a closed fist.
closed fist. And this from the nurses and Nurse Powell statement said the force of the impact was so.
I'm sorry, let me just cut you out. What was the other nurse's name who witnessed this incident?
They didn't give me no statement. Once I talked to Nurse Powell, I didn't get the information from them.
But you spoke to them, but
Yes,
you
ma'am.
didn't write their name down.
Right.
How many witnesses witnessed this besides
All of us, at least 10 of them.
10? Was it all nurses or were they just staff?
Nurses, staff.
Okay, so there was several people who witnessed this assault.
Yes, ma'am.
And so what happened after?
So-
Go ahead.
So when he hit him, again, he said the force of impact was so hard, it cracked his bottom right teeth. It knocked the crown off of one of his rear teeth. It broke his glasses. And as the nurse was falling backwards, he fell backwards. He bumped his head on the desk, which left his head bleeding and a visible laceration. And as Nurse Powell hit the ground, he was knocked completely unconscious.
Unconscious.
He was unconscious.
Did Nurse Powell have to go to a higher level of care? Did he have to go to trauma or anything
Right.
like
Yeah,
that?
they immediately took him back to the trauma area and started to work on him. Greater security, of course, arrived shortly and they detained Mr. Powell. So I asked Mr. Powell, I said, well, why did you hit that nurse like that? And his statement was, I don't know, and I'm not gay. And I immediately detained him, took him down to the graded detention to get treatment for whatever he was at graded for. And after he got his treatment, he was transported to the Fulton County Jail.
So did you meet with any other witnesses? Like you said, you didn't take any statements, but did you talk to anybody else about what they may have seen that was not, done by, said by Nurse Powell?
They pretty much said the same thing that Nurse Powell said. They backed up his story.
Okay, so they said that they overheard Mr. Mr. Everett saying that I'm not gay, and then I proceeded to assault Mr. Powell.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you know why he said that I'm not gay? I mean, was there any type of conversation about his sexuality or anything like that?
I don't know. To this day, I don't know why he made that statement. And I asked, although I didn't list it in my report, I asked Nurse Powell that why would he make that statement, and he didn't know either.
I don't want to get into too much of this gay statement, but is Mr. Powell gay? I mean, do you think?
Objection, Judge, relevance.
I'm trying to, well, it was relevant because your clients alleged to have said this statement. So I'm trying to figure out what made him say that.
Judge, I don't think he's gay or nothing, but I don't know.
You don't know for sure?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So you'd have no idea why?
I have no idea.
Okay. And, all right. So is there anything else? So you also charged with aggravated battery. Is that for the teeth, the missing teeth?
Yes, ma'am.
And then also the unconsciousness?
No, I charged him with aggravated battery and also charged him with hindering preventing a medical staff or technician from doing their job.
So, so what was the aggravated? I thought it was aggravated battery for also the him being unconscious as well.
No, I did the aggravated battery because he cracked that teeth in that crown.
So that
He eventually lost that teeth.
Oh, he lost it.
Yeah,
Okay.
He's still out as of today.
Did he ever get it fixed, or is he gonna about to get it fixed?
He's still going through the medical procedures part of it to get his mouth repaired.
Like workman's comp and things like that?
Yes, as far as I know, that's what he told me last night.
Okay, and so you charged him, Mr. Everett, also with hindering emergency professionals, is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
And the basis of that is for him just assaulting them while they're on their job?
No, well, that's part of it, but I figure if he's a nurse there serving other customers and he's laying on the floor with a knocked out teeth, uh, damaged crown, and unconscious and bleeding from the head, I believe that hindered him from helping and working with other customers he had.
So the actual assault, the fact that he could not help other customers at the
Right. He
hospital.
prevented him from helping other customers.
Okay. And was there anything else that you'd like to say that's pertinent to this case for the judge to know?
Other than that, one other thing was I didn't know at the time when he knocked him out, hit him, he broke his glasses too. Nurse Power wear glasses.
So it broke his glasses as well.
Yes, ma'am.
And was this incident captured on surveillance footage?
Grady Hospital has the surveillance footage of that area.
Did you review the footage? Have you
No.
had a chance to review it?
No, I didn't. And I just got when I got there, I got the footage on my body camera, but I didn't pull the footage from Grady, but they still have it.
Okay, so you got the footage of what footage do you have as far
I
as
just got it on my body cam, but the footage.
what's on the body cam? Because you said you weren't there to witness this.
Yeah, just me talking to him and I think talking to Nurse Pete.
And when did you have a chance to talk to Nurse Powell, as you call him, Nurse Pete?
Right, well, they call him Nurse Pete, but it's Nurse Power. I work there every Monday and Tuesday, so I'm
Because you
familiar
know
with.
he was unconscious, so I'm trying to figure out when we were able to talk to him.
After they brought him to late on that night, while
And so after he was already came back to
Right.
consciousness,
yes, ma'am.
okay, and he was able to remember everything pretty clearly at that,
Yes.
by him being unconscious. Okay,
Yes, ma'am.
and he was able to identify Mr. Everett as the perpetrator,
Yes,
as the
ma'am.
one who assaulted him.
Yes.
Okay, and the other witness were able to identify Mr. Everett as well.
Yes, the other nurses and was able to identify me. He stayed right there on scene. He didn't try to run off with nothing.
And so he never denied the fact that he assaulted Mr. Nurse Powell. Is that correct?
Right. He never denied it.
He just said, "I don't know why I did that.
He just said, I don't know. I said, why did you hit the nurse like that? He said, I don't know, and I'm not gay. And I said, okay. And went on, put him on the arrest at that point.
Okay." And let me ask you another question. So, and the body camera is into evidence. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, on the body camera is not going to capture him hitting him.
The actual assault, but you captured the witnesses and what they said.
Yes.
Okay. And you also captured Nurse Powell's statement.
I'm pretty sure I still had it going.
And so Nurse Powell is the victim. Were there any other victims?
Oh, now.
Okay. I think I asked you, but it's in Fulton County, correct?
Yes.
And you were able to talk to Mr. Everett before today?
Have I talked to him before
Yes,
today?
you talked to him before today when you spoke to him about whether or not he assaulted.
Right. That's the only time I talked to him was that night of the
And so are
incident.
you able to identify him today in court?
Yeah, he's sitting over by his defense attorney with the blue jumpsuit, the little short afro, black male.
Okay. Judge, let the record reflect that this officer, Sergeant Jones, has correctly identified the defendant, Mr. Everett, in this case.
All right, it's noted.
And that's all I have, your witness.
All right, Cross.
Thank you, Judge. Good afternoon, Sergeant Jones.
Good afternoon, ma'am. How you doing?
I'm well, thank you. You said that, I think I'm a little confused. Were you working at Grady on an extra job already? at the
Yes,
time?
ma'am. I work there every Monday night and Tuesday night.
Okay. And this incident, was it on like a regular floor of Grady?
No, it's on the main lobby floor,
Mhm.
but it's in an area called Zone 2. It's like right across from the trauma center.
But that's not the Grady detention.
No, the
Okay.
graded detention is in the basement.
And so to your knowledge, Mr. Everett was there just as a patient.
Right. He was back there for treatment.
Do you know what he was there for treatment for?
No, ma'am. I don't know.
Okay. And you didn't witness the alleged assault?
No, I didn't actually see him hit him.
Okay. And you mentioned there were other people present there at the time,
Yes, ma'am.
but you didn't get like written statements?
No,
from
I
them?
didn't get no written statements from them. I just got their verbal statements.
Okay. You testified on direct that the nurse was knocked unconscious. Do you know approximately how long he was down on the ground?
No, I don't know exactly, but I can just say while he was unconscious, they immediately took him to the trauma center. So he probably was down in less than 5 minutes.
And you mentioned on direct, he was able to, after he came to, he was able to recount the events and identify who hit him and all that.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. You mentioned that he lost some teeth. Do you know how many?
On the bottom row, the center teeth, it was cracked that night, but he ended up losing it. And they broke a crown in the back of his mouth off one of his teeth.
Okay. That's all I have. Thank you for your time.
You're welcome.
Anything else from the state?
Nothing else from the state.
All right,
Judge.
thanks, Detective. Stay safe out there. Get some
Yes,
rest.
ma'am. Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, go ahead with argument.
I'll allow, Attorney Wood, is that correct, Attorney? Okay.
Thank you. Judge, I would ask that you not find probable cause on the aggravated battery, instead find probable cause for the lesser included of simple battery. I don't believe a damaged crown and a broken tooth and being on the ground for less than 5 minutes meets the standard of having a body part rendered useless. And he was able to recount his version of what happened after he was up off the ground. So I think our argument is that that would be a simple battery instead of aggravated battery.
Go ahead.
Judge, I know that the sergeant said that he only charged him with the aggravated battery for the teeth, but I believe it was also for the unconsciousness as well. So that would qualify for the fact that his brain was rendered useless for how many, if it was 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 30 minutes, he was still unconscious. And so also, it wasn't just his teeth was broken, the teeth were removed from his mouth. So at that time, that's also a member within his body that was dislocated from him. That you say he's still missing teeth at this time. So Judge, we suggest that the aggravated battery is substantiated based upon those two factors. And if a warrant does not reflect the unconscious, we would suggest that it did, because you heard Sergeant Jones testify to the fact that this officer, this nurse Powell was rendered unconscious, and so his brain was rendered useless at that moment, and also the teeth were removed from his mouth. So I don't believe that Attorney Wood is contesting the second charge of the felony of hindering. Are you contesting that? Okay, so we hope that we pray that you bond that over as well.
All right, I'll find probable cause on both. He has a $15,000 good bond as of 9/15. We can address bond.
Judge, before you start that, if it's okay, I'm not going to ask for a bond reduction. He has a matter with me in Judge McBurney's courtroom. I'm trying to take care of everything.
Okay,
at
so
once.
just leave it alone. Okay, and we don't need to. Thank you. Best of
Okay.
luck to you, sir.
Judge, that is all I have. May I be excused?
Yes, ma'am. So we have Officer Statham on here, but what is the status for Jeremiah Hill, the officer in Jeremiah Hill? Ms. Fields?
The officer, let me see. I know I probably have reached out to Jeremiah Hill's officer. Let me see.
No. Go with the deputy.
All comments, viewpoints, interpretations, and insights expressed in this video are for education and entertainment purposes. All individuals featured in the video are to be presumed innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. Please do not attempt to contact, locate, or engage with any individuals featured in the video.